Ladies and gentlemen, this is hard to believe. It's absolutely hilarious, and it's also frightening. It's more amusing than it is concerning. But Fox News, Pelosi won't rule out impeachment as option to stop Trump's Supreme Court pick. NBC News, Pelosi won't rule out new impeachment to delay SCOTUS vote if Biden wins. That wouldn't... First of all, Biden ain't winning, and secondly, that wouldn't matter even if they tried to impeach Trump before. Pelosi on possible second Trump impeachment in lame duck session. We have our options. So they're threatening to impeach President Trump. Daily Mail, Nancy Pelosi does not rule out impeachment as a way to tie up the Senate floor. So they would actually try to impeach President Trump if Biden had won, or whether, I think they're probably going to go try to do it whether, first of all, it's going to be Hillary Clinton. See the shirt? Clinton is going to replace Biden eventually at some point. They're not going with Tales from the Crypt. The whole thing's been a charade. But President Trump is going to pick Amy Coney Barrett. She will be nominated. That will be his third Supreme Court pick. And be here at 9 p.m. Pacific. We have the best late evening live stream in all of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. 9 p.m. Pacific. Every evening, 9 p.m. Pacific on H.A. Goodman. I'll have a segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel right after this, so check out and subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel, to my new Patreons. Thank you so very, very much. You give me, I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, but you give me the ability to remain independent, and I thank you. Really quickly, God bless Tyron Woodley. He's one of my favorite mixed martial arts fighters of all time. And he has had one of the most dominant reigns in MMA history. His style, his greatness. He was one of the best and most dominant fighters, mixed martial arts fighters, because of his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu. He made things look so easy that Dana White, for a moment, treated him unfairly, and he received so much negativity throughout his career, unfortunately, and some of it was racist, that's true, because he was so dominant with his wrestling. Nobody could get close to him, nobody could touch him, and so Tyron Woodley is one of my favorite, and I loved watching him for so many years, keep his championship, so God bless him. I know he hurt his ribs last night. God bless him. And I want a speedy recovery for Tyron Woodley. And also, congratulations to Colby Covington, Trump supporter. So that's, I want him to continue a great, fantastic career. But, God bless Tyron Woodley. He is one of the greats of all time. I'd put him up there with John Jones and everybody. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi does not rule out impeachment. Well, that's not good. You cannot impeach a president for doing for engaging in what his constitutional duty requires him to do. You cannot impeach a president. So They were talking about impeachment because he fired Comey, but he's able to do that under the Constitution because the president runs the executive branch and the FBI is part of the executive branch. He can hire and fire whomever he wants. The Constitution states that the president will appoint judges. So you cannot impeach. It's not a high crime and misdemeanor to actually follow the Constitution. So that's number one. Number two is they are absolutely powerless. So whether they impeach President Trump tomorrow or before January 20th of 2021, it's meaningless and they're powerless to do anything. First of all, he has the votes. I think it was Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins today said that she wasn't going to support President Trump. Who cares? You need 4 defectors. You need 4 imbeciles in the Senate to say, "Oh, Democrats and media, oh, I'll be that person that you could love right after." They're not gonna. Nothing Republicans do. Even the Lincoln Project, the dysfunctional and unhealthy alliance with Bush era neoconservatives, like the far left and the far left, the Medicare for All people and the neoconservatives and the I'm with her people are now all united, which says everything you need to know about the left. Bernie Sanders is voting alongside Max Boot and Bill Kristol. But see, the Lincoln Project people and the Republicans who oppose Trump, they're going to be reviled and despised by Democrats the moment that they're used up and spit out by media and Democrats. One thing very interesting. I don't have Twitter, but I sometimes check to see what people are saying about me when they're still talking about me, which is hilarious. I haven't had Twitter for 2 years. You still have the same buffoons talking about articles that I've written. Now there's one article that remains true then and remains, it's even more relevant and true today. I didn't write the headline, actually, and I have respect for the editors at Salon who did. And I thank the editors at Salon and the Huffington Post and the Hill and the Jerusalem Post for giving me a voice during 2016, and all my articles went viral. Why? One person called me a chaos agent, which was hilarious because the ideas resonated. So the ideas were based on logic and reason. I stated I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton, even because of the issues pertaining to possible Supreme Court nominees from President Trump. That is, if you cheat, my vantage point then, when I was on the left, and certainly my vantage point now, I'm actually very happy that we have 3 conservative Supreme Court judges, with the 3rd one coming up. My vantage point was, if you cheat, so listen closely, people who don't know where I am, because there are a lot of people who are like, "Oh, it's very bizarre that he was everywhere in 2016 and he's nowhere to be found now." It's like I have 150,000 subs on one channel, which is pretty good, and it's gonna grow during this election. And I have almost 20,000 on H.A. Goodman's other channel. So I've been doing things just because I'm not on social media wasting time, but. The argument that I made in that one Salon article, they're like, "You see, the left, protesting leads to nothing." No. You cheated, Bernie Sanders. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign, and you get exactly what you deserve with Supreme Court justices being picked by Trump. You elevated President Trump. Harry Reid changed the protocol, altered the protocol. And in an article in The Hill that I keep reading every night, bragged and boasted about changing the protocol so that when Democrats win the Senate and President Hillary Clinton is in the executive, they can then pass Supreme Court nominees with a simple majority. You did this to yourselves, Democrats, with your own treachery. Enjoy Supreme Court justices who protect the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. Because with Democrats now, who knows what word's going to be off limits? Who knows what phrase is going to be linked to some horrible thing? And with the Second Amendment, they want to defund police and erase the Second Amendment. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. I got a death threat. So then I embraced the Second Amendment. Guess why? One reason why is because the police officer that actually filled out the police report, because I gave him the text, the Twitter messages. This is when I had Twitter. I received that threat. Said, "Yeah, you know what? You should embrace the Second Amendment." So I did. But obviously, people who want to defund the police have never been the victims of, or never been threatened with violent crime. Anyway, so you can't defund the police and erase the Second Amendment. But that's a whole other story. Democrats, too difficult for Democrats. But the Salon article I wrote was like, you can't force me to vote for Hillary Clinton, even with the pressure or the groupthink or the peer pressure of you got to vote because of the Supreme Court. The argument was, A, you cheated Bernie Sanders. B, I even state in that article, foreshadowing the election, saying it's doubtful that Clinton could even win with all the scandals. And I was right. But the main thing is, you cheated Bernie. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. 3 or 4 other DNC officials were forced to resign. You're the ones who caused people to leave the Democratic Party. You're the ones who should really enjoy the fruits of your labor. You're the ones who, Harry Reid, set the ball in motion, changed and altered. Literally, the Democrats did this to themselves. It could have been a 60-vote supermajority, and you would have gotten more liberal, or at least more middle-of-the-road judges. You did this to yourselves. It wasn't the Jill Stein or Bernie Sanders voters. And I say this as a Trump supporter. You did this to yourselves, wonderful I'm with her people. Harry Reid altered the protocol and the voting requirement for judges and paved the way for when he ran the Senate, because he was thinking of running the Senate, that he was predicting that he would win the Senate and the executive, that Hillary Clinton could easily get nominees in with a simple 51 vote threshold. Okay. Harry Reid started it. Okay, yet again, and you weren't talking about abolishing the Electoral College when Clinton had a solid Electoral College lead in the New York Times 3 days before. And I read every night the article, They Always Wanted Trump, in Politico. You elevated President Trump. So the emails showed that they elevated emails that they wrote, not Putin, that they elevated President Trump. You're the most miserable, duplicitous, inept political party with the most violent, disgusting supporters. You want to talk about Trump supporters? Every political side has violent, disgusting people. The worst trolls are on the left. The most petulant, maniacal, hysterical narcissists are on the left. And so people are bringing up my article in Salon. Heck yes. Absolutely. I would never, and the reason that Bernie Sanders was cheated in 2020 in Iowa with an app linked to Clinton campaign officials, and you know Clinton's going to replace Biden any day now, or any moment, or any week now, or maybe a week before the election, because she does better among Black and Latino voters. Biden is done. He's not going to win the election. The polls, there was one college university poll that showed Clinton 17 points up 3 or 2 days before the election. The polls are meaningless. They're not scientific. If the laws of physics correlated to the scientific nature of these polls, these presidential polls, we'd all be floating. There's nothing scientific about these polls. They're public relations ploys and stunts to fabricate reality, not reflect reality. But the article I wrote in Salon, You Can't Tell Me to Vote Clinton, She's on the Wrong Side of Everything, was also about, I'm not going to vote for a Bush-era neoconservative, which is what Max Boot and Bill Kristol. I was 100% vindicated. Every day I'm vindicated. When liberals share Lincoln Project emails and videos, I am vindicated with everything I said. So, absolutely, that was the right call to make on the left. You shouldn't have voted for Hillary Clinton, and the consequences are irrelevant, because if you voted for Clinton, you gave them a free pass to do exactly what they've been doing for the past 4 years, which is cheat and then blame Russia and then cheat again with Bernie Sanders. And then you have Elizabeth Warren saying that Bernie told her that a woman couldn't win. And then that paves the way for the Atlantic article saying, well, Trump said something about fallen Americans. No, he never did. And Bernie never said that a woman couldn't win. And in the app in Iowa, that wasn't by accident. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign for a reason. And I'm never voting whether it's President Trump. I'm voting for President Trump because he has ended the war in Afghanistan, because he is bringing home Americans from Iraq and removing soldiers from there, because he's removed soldiers from Syria, because he's ended a program funding rebels to oust Assad. I don't want regime changes. Infinitely bigger issue and more important issue than climate change, which is also important. But it's not like one country can impact the entire planet. Our foreign policy immediately affects the lives of American soldiers, their families, their sons, their daughters, their husbands, their wives, their parents, and immediately that day, that week, that month, impacts the lives of people in other countries. Clinton had never had a foreign policy decision to save her life. From voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld to turning Libya into a failed state we saw. Libya is destroyed and turned into a failed state because of Clinton and President Obama and Biden. So you can talk about, the left caused all of this. No, you caused all of this, Democrats. You have to communicate and convey reasons for people to vote for you. The notion that you can scare people into just accepting anything, that no longer exists. You think that the countries, you already lost to President Trump, outspending him 2-1 with possibly the first female president who the polls showed she's doing better in swing states. She was doing better in swing states at this point in a whole bunch of polls than Biden is now. She outspent Biden 2-1. She did better among Black and Latino voters, the most important demographics within the Democratic Party. So you're going to tell me that what? Biden's going to win? Biden is going to it's going to be a political slaughter if he debates Trump. The man slurs his speech and wheezes all the time, and he looks like Tales from the Crypt's cousin. He literally looks like an exhumed body. And everyone is wondering what's going on. Has he lost his marbles? Everyone's wondering this, Democrats. But keep thinking that. So, you have these people on the left, and it's really hilarious, too, because I think they're like the far left. Or no, some of them are like just straight up, Hillary Clinton worshipers. But it's interesting, like they dug up one of the articles that saying you're not going to make me vote for Clinton because of the Supreme Court, and the argument stands it's more relevant today for the left than it was in 2016 when I wrote it. And I didn't write the headline, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There was a section within the article talking about, no, I'm not gonna vote simply because of the fear of the Supreme Court. And that's the thing. If you vote based on fear, if you vote based on a political party telling you have to do this or else, don't vote at all, or don't vote for that political party, or vote for whomever you want. Write in whomever you want. I'm voting for President Trump because I'm getting a president who is reversing U.S. foreign policy. That's why I wrote about Bernie Sanders. I didn't write about Bernie Sanders because of Medicare for All. That was one thing that would have been fantastic if it's feasible. Obviously, Democrats don't think it's feasible. Then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to pack the courts," and then Republicans will pack even more justices to the courts. These people are absurd. When they're in power, they say # do your job. Everyone was saying it doesn't matter if there's an election year with Merrick Garland. They're the hypocrites. Then they call McConnell the hypocrite for not, voting on Garland. Well, it was an election year. Which one is it? They're both hypocrites. But the difference is you can't get bigger hypocrites than the Democratic Party. Ask Tara Reid. They spend more time on a hot mic, like banter nonsense, than the actual allegation of Biden doing exactly what Trump was joking about to a woman, Tara Reid. And then you have the press, kissing Biden's behind. Oh, Mr. Vice President. And then with Trump, they're like, that's why the average 60%, 70% of Americans don't trust the media. Fiery but peaceful protests. They're actually reporting the buildings set ablaze behind them, and they're saying it's fiery but peaceful. The media, they've lost credibility. The Democrats are sinking. They're a sinking ship, still blaming their voters for not voting alongside their madness, while their Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigns because she cheated Bernie Sanders. Sorry, I don't vote for people who cheat their own candidates. And if I could go back in time, I would have written in defense of President Trump in the Huffington Post Salon. So President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. He's a fantastic president, best president of my lifetime, reversing regime change policies. So, I mean, there is a liberal case for President Trump, but Democrats don't care about never-ending wars, so I guess there isn't. They used to be a liberal cause, but anyway, give me your thoughts below. That Salon article stands. It was not only legitimate and 100% accurate when I wrote it, it's even more accurate today. The 3 Supreme Court judges, that's your fault. That's Harry Reid's fault, that's Debbie Wasserman Schultz's fault, and that's the I'm With Her crowd's fault, and media's fault. They elevated President Trump. I mean, you couldn't have, if you tried to write some kind of roadmap or strategy to tank a generation of voters, to tank a political party, to lose a generation of voters, you couldn't have done a better job. So give me a break with the you have to vote Democrat no matter what, vote blue no matter what. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way, and it certainly doesn't work that way anymore, or it certainly doesn't work that way today. Give me your thoughts below. Be here 9 p.m. Pacific every evening, and I have my new segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Ladies and gentlemen, every day is heating up. And like I said, God bless Tyron Woodley. He's one of the great champions of all time. And congrats to Colby Covington, enormous Trump supporter. Give me your thoughts below. Be here 9 p.m. Pacific. If you want to support my Patreon, it's below. Thank you. Oh, and if you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com.